became cheaper than cheap once cutting wire, fashioning points, and creating heads were broken into specialized, repetitive tasks. It was Smith who showed us that pursuit of self-interest, far more than selfless acts of charity, promotes the general welfare. In making the most of one's labors, Smith said, individual enterprise, as if guided by an invisible hand, unintentionally benefits all mankind. Among the father of capitalism's lesser-known, but equally significant insights is what he wrote about the eagerness of business owners to make even more profits by thwarting the invisible hand. He warned that unchecked self-interest, especially when aided by the government, will spoil the benefits of capitalism. Smith wrote in an inquiry into the nature and the causes of the wealth of nations, "People of the same trade seldom meet together, even for merriment and diversion, but the conversation ends in a conspiracy against the public, or in some contrivance to raise prices. It is impossible, indeed, to prevent such meetings by any law which could either be executed or would be consistent with liberty and justice." Smith followed this with an observation that is critical to realizing the benefits of the market. His sage words are usually ignored by those who cite him as their authority for all manner of government policies. But though the law cannot hinder people of the same trade from sometimes assembling together, it ought to do nothing to facilitate such assemblies, much less to render them necessary. Despite 2 centuries passing, those warnings seem never to have reached all the presidents, governors, senators, and cabinet secretaries who take the rostrum at the annual meetings of the National Association of Manufacturers, the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, and the conventions of the bankers, farmers, and every other big trade group. Throughout his writings, Smith warned of the damage done when government interferes in the market by guaranteeing profits or handing out gifts. This damage can exceed that caused when government taxes unwisely or imposes rules that needlessly obstruct commerce. It is a universal truth that it is easier to mine gold from the government treasury than the side of a mountain. Of a subsidy paid to herring fishermen, called in those days a bounty, Smith observed that it was all too common for vessels to fit out for the sole purpose of catching not the fish, but the bounty. Today, in America, Smith's bounties are everywhere. Whole industries outfit themselves to catch all they can. Most of these subsidies are available only to corporations and those individuals rich enough to own a substantial business. Everyone, however, is forced to finance these bounties. Lobbyists fashion bounties tailor-made for companies they represent. State legislatures and city councils deliver them by the tens of billions of dollars each year, taking from the many to benefit the few. Even without spending money, government often confers benefits on the few. It does so by establishing arcane rules that create an advantage in the competitive market. Government also grants a lucrative favor for the few when it allows companies to shortchange workers and, especially, pensioners. As well-paying jobs fade away, demand for subsidies grow in the belief that this will keep people working. Some of these bounties do not even require an ask. They are just there. Mike Kaiser knows that. He had to file applications for 2 small subsidies, one of which hardly seems worth the bother. He hired lawyers and lobbyists to seek a third. Coos Bay business leaders supported this third subsidy, believing it was a good way to create even more jobs at Bandon Dunes. Yet Kaiser benefits from 4 subsidies. The last is by far the biggest. He did not even have to ask for this one. It flows on automatic pilot in such a subtle way that following the trail of money under government-set accounting rules would never reveal its true path. Yet this bounty totals more money each year than the payroll for Kaiser's 325 full-time employees, including their fringe benefits and even the tips they collect from patrons. By some measures, this hidden subsidy, to be examined ahead, is several times the size of his payroll. Beneath the exquisite beauty of Bandon Dunes lurks an ugly truth. The economic development benefits at Bandon Dunes are illusory. From the prospect of one depressed community, Bandon Dunes is all win. It provides desperately needed jobs.